Well, hello, and welcome to Sane-ish, a podcast for anyone who's ever looked at the world and thought, is it just me, or is everything completely upside down? I'm Jo Carducci, or as you may know me from social media, Jojo from Jerz. And if you're here, you're probably searching for a little sanity in the middle of all of this chaos. You're in the right place. We might not have all the answers, but we're going to ask the questions that matter, and we're going to do it together. If you like what you hear, don't forget to follow, rate, and share Sane-ish with your friends, because the more of us searching for sanity together, the better. Today, I wish I could kick things off with something light and easy, but the truth is the world doesn't always let us pick our moments. Sometimes bad news hits like a sucker punch. Sudden, sharp, and totally unfair. That's how I felt when I heard about President Biden's diagnosis. It wasn't just a headline, it was a gut punch. The kind that knocks the air right out of you and leaves you wondering how much more we're supposed to take. And I'll be honest, I've been crying off and on since the news broke. Not just for Joe Biden, but for what this moment says about our country, about the cruelty and indifference that seem to be everywhere. I'm angry, furious actually, at the so-called Christians who are celebrating another man's pain, and at the media vultures who treat a good man's suffering like it's just another story to exploit. It's not just unfair, it's inhuman. But even when it feels like the world is collapsing, there's still a flicker of hope, a stubborn, defiant light that refuses to go out. Joe Biden has carried that light through storms most of us can barely imagine. He's lost more than most of us could bear, and he still gets back up, still chooses love, still fights for the soul of this country. That's the kind of courage I want to talk about here on Sane-ish. The courage to stand in the wreckage and say, I'm not giving up. Not today. This show is about finding that light even when everything just feels dark and awful. It's about being honest with our pain, refusing to let cruelty have the last word, and reminding each other that we are not alone. We are stronger together, and we're going to get through this. One hard conversation, one act of kindness, one stubborn, hopeful step at a time. So, to Joe and Jill Biden, and to everyone who's hurting right now, you are not alone. We see you, we love you, and we're holding the light for you. Let's get started. Let's get a little more sane-ish together. So before we dive any deeper, I want to bring in someone who knows a thing or two about standing up when the world feels like it's falling apart. My guest today is Harry Dunn, a name you probably should know, and for good reason. Harry was one of the Capitol police officers who stood on the front lines on January 6th, facing down a mob and defending our democracy with a kind of courage most of us can only hope to find in ourselves. Since that day, Harry has become a powerful voice for truth, justice, and accountability. He's shared his story with the nation. He's inspired countless people, including me. He knows what it means to be tested, to keep going when it would be so much easier to give up, and to choose hope over hate, even when the world gives you every reason not to. Today, as I was recording with Harry, the news broke of Ashley Babbitt's family receiving a $5 million payment from the United States government. I didn't get a chance to ask Harry about it. I wish I had, but I just want Harry to know I stand with you in solidarity, and this is some bullshit. We've got a lot to talk about, from the heartbreak and hope of this moment in our country to what real leadership looks like to the New York Knicks, because if there's one thing we need right now, it's a little basketball therapy. Welcome to the first ever episode of my all-new podcast, Sane-ish. Sane-ish, Harry, because like asking anybody to be sane right now is pretty much impossible. But you, if anyone could ever keep me sane adjacent, it would be you, Harry Dunn. Welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Yo, Joe, congratulations on your relaunch and everything. I'm happy to be here with you. And I would say that anybody that is sane right now is probably an insane person. I feel like that's the best way to put it. Love the name, Sane-ish. But yeah, we got to find a way to stay, I guess, functional, I guess would be the best way to say it. Yeah. So we can navigate through these times where they want us to lose our minds. But we're not.
Not completely. No, and there are things,
yes.
Right. There are things like human connection that are going to keep us on track, that are going to keep us connected, that are going to keep us somehow not sailing, but trudging through all of this. And speaking of trudging, I was minding my own business yesterday, not watching the Infinity War with my son, even though that means I was watching when I was supposed to be doing laundry. But I don't know if you've seen that. I'd never seen it. That is a depressing as hell movie. And so I'm already like, oh my God, they killed Spider-Man. Like, I'm already in a place. And then the news broke that former President Joe Biden, who's near and dear to your heart, I know, and mine, of course, he had been diagnosed with aggressive prostate cancer. And then the news that came out after that related to how aggressive it was a lot, is a lot. So let me just check in with you on how you're feeling right now about that. And then we can jump into some of the shit that's been happening with the press attacking him nonstop for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, man. First and foremost, it's sad to hear. And I just, my heart goes out to him and his family. I mean, just rolling the on the surface, he's been through so much. He's been through so much, and not just even as a president. Like, take that out. Like, take all the politics and everything. Just the life he's lived. It's been through so much, and this. I was actually on a flight back from Florida. I spoke down in the Villages. I did a town hall down there with former Congresswoman Val Demings.
Oh, she's
she's fantastic. And I was on an airplane back, and I was flying, and I said, "Man, this Wi-Fi is expensive for just 2 hours. You know what? I am not going to get Wi-Fi. I am going
anyway."
I know, right? It's spotty at best. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to put my headphones on and just enjoy this relaxing flight. And then, as you land, you take your phone off of airplane mode, and my phone just boom, 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 notification. What the hell? And I just saw like Biden news. Did you see it? Oh my gosh. And I'm like, what the hell happened? And then I eventually saw it, and it was like, my God, like, but, I didn't look at, prognosis and diagnose all that stuff, but, my heart just went immediately like, I'm rooting for him to beat this, to pull through this. And that's all I was at. And then I just started thinking about everybody else that's lived through cancer, all types of cancers, people who have succumbed to it. And it just like reinforced the need to, we gotta find a cure and put an end to this horrible disease out there, because it affects anybody. And it sucks that people want to pull politics into this, but it affects you no matter what your color is, no matter what your position on abortion is, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, a man or woman. It comes after everybody, and man, terrible.
Cancer does not give a fuck what letter is next to your name when you vote. That's for sure. And what I was having the hardest time with at first, what made me feel so hopeless in the moment, I feel like, Harry, I can roll with a political outrage. I can roll with like some abuse of power. I can get mad and I can feel down, and I can get back up, and like with my fist clenched. I feel like when it's something like that, I can grit my teeth and like, okay, fire myself up. But this one was like, my dad passed away in 2011, and I was the first of the 5 kids in my family to get the call. And this visceral feeling, even though Joe Biden is still with us, thank God, and he's going to get the best care available to him, and he's going to fight like hell, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It hit me like that. It took something out of the center of my soul. Like, it ripped something out where I was like, this is so unfair.
So unfair.
Hasn't this family been through enough? Hasn't this man been through enough? Like, how much more does he have to show us in terms of his resilience and strength in the face of adversity? And yet, when I looked at my replies to posts about him today, it was disgusting. And by their standards, that's saying a lot. Some woman with Christian in her handle said she hopes he boils to death in a vat of his own shit and piss. That I was like, Christian? Like, what did that man ever do to you? But like, the pen.
Well, that should have been the biggest red flag there. Somebody with Christian and in their bio. I mean, listen, I'm not turning this into a faith show or anything like that. And everybody has the right to believe what they want. But I believe in God, and I'm a Christian, and I would never live my life the way that some of those people are. I would never. It's almost like it's just baffling that they consider themselves Christian, and I do also, and we're not the same. Like our values, our morals, our beliefs. I just want to know what Sunday school they went to learn that bullshit.
Trump University Sunday school.
Right? Hello.
Yeah, I mean, this is another problem that I'm having because it's hand in hand with the news of yesterday. Is that what's been happening on our side, and then the the neutral, so to speak, press, the mainstream media, is that they have been dismantling Joe Biden's legacy in huge chunks by making the focus not about any of the significant legislation that he was able to pass, infrastructure bill, marriage equality, PACT Act, none of that matters. They're talking instead about his mental acuity and about how he pulled one over on the American people when he should have stepped aside, and all of this revisionist history on his doctors saying he wasn't fit enough to serve, et cetera, et cetera. This is the autopsy that they're performing now on the man who's no longer president, while ignoring the one who is in office now, who is observably insane and dismantling democracy before our eyes. And so, for this news to come in the midst of that storm, talking to you, Jake Tapper, but not alone, was like another hit. You know what I mean?
It sucks too, because it's like, wait a minute, of all the news going on right now, this is where you're focusing your attention. Like, listen, listen. Everybody has opinions about whether he should have stepped aside sooner or blah, blah, blah. And sure. I'm one, after considering everything that we know now, right? We didn't know it at the time. And anybody who said whatever, we didn't know. It's infuriating that these individuals right now in this moment are choosing to dissect Joe Biden's legacy or whatever. Like, Jesus Christ, the diagnosis just came out to the public just yesterday. Like, what are we doing? I mean, literally, right? The House Budget Committee convened at like 10 o'clock last night.
Yep.
Are you talking to me that there's nothing, you couldn't cover that? How the House is in disarray? And yeah, this whole catastrophic bill that they're poised to pass now.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't that front and center? That affects everybody. I mean, Joe Biden stepped aside. Kamala Harris lost the election. Donald Trump is the president. Let's stop revisiting what happened there. Now, listen, there's a time for it. And sure, when we're talking about elections in the future and should this ever come up again, and that's why historians exist and blah, 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 blah. But right now, like, Jesus Christ, you got to focusing on the guy that's not focusing on the guy that's in the White House, this guy, and we are attacking Joe Biden. It kind of reinforces why Trump won.
Thank you.
It kind of reinforces why Donald Trump won.
That part right there. Like they helped his ascension by ignoring his insanity and incompetence and illegality and corruption by focusing instead. How many times did we hear stories about Joe Biden being sleepy, Joe Biden being infirm, Joe Biden being cognitively impaired? All the time, they were ignoring Donald Trump. And like the guy's talking about eating cats and dogs and injecting bleach, talking about Hannibal Lecter. I'm old enough to remember when he swayed on stage for 37 minutes or whatever that was because he was a little malfunctioning. I don't even know. But there was Joe Biden the next day being sleepy. And here they are complaining about Joe Biden helping elect the guy that they ignored for friggin' 3 years. I don't understand it.
I don't get the obsession with it. I don't understand it, but it's not right. I mean, and like I said, it just goes to highlight why Donald Trump won. I mean, you know what? Like the American people didn't care enough about Donald Trump and his felonious ways and, his insurrectionist ways and all. The America didn't care enough. So why should the media, right? I mean, maybe that's what they're thinking, but yeah, it's insane. Like it just goes to show that I guess that's why Donald Trump won. And we don't have one of the most if not the most qualified individuals sitting as president now, that we could have had the opportunity to have on November the 5th.
Yeah, it's an interesting question about who shapes which narrative, whether or not it's the people that shape the media's narrative or the media that helps shape the people's narrative, because chicken or the egg. But if the media had highlighted these stories a little bit more like they did with Biden, maybe the people would have been like, this seems really bad. But I want to talk about, you said insurrectionist. I want to talk about that because a couple of things. First of all, Joe Biden, again, to kind of pick up on that thread, he gave you a preemptive pardon along with members of the January 6th committee and other members of the Capitol Police Force. Donald Trump has been floating a whole lot of tweets or whatever, post-truths, whatever they're called, about the auto pen. He's back to it, by the way, about those pardons not being legal or binding. First of all, that's bullshit, because in the Constitution, it is one of the only absolute unquestionable power a president has, to their great detriment, if you ask me. That's something that should be revisited, but whatever.
Agree.
But let's just taking this further. First of all, your feelings on, again, going back to Joe Biden having your back because he wants to protect, this is insane that he needs to, but Donald Trump pardoned all of the insurrectionists. I call them terrorists. But so there's that part of it. Then Donald Trump saying he's going to consider somehow undoing those protections. Like, he can't do that. But of course, it's Donald Trump. So all bets are off.
Yeah, it's just more ways to rile up his base and to continue and further the division, us versus them kind of thing. Anybody that didn't vote for Donald Trump is an enemy to him, and he's trying to make it as an enemy to his supporters too. Listen, the Constitution is clear about that, and now listen, like if they want to revisit and make some type of changes and amendments to which, then have that conversation. But it's clear the way that it stands now, and that's not one of my concerns or worries or anything like that. But yes, his obsession with this auto pen thing, he's just attempting to invalidate it. And that just goes to further show he's doing and this all goes back to January 6th. He wants to go after the people that are calling January 6th what it was, what it is. And he's trying to rewrite what happened that day. And it started with him pardoning the insurrectionists, because you can't, if you got people in jail for, their behavior on January 6th, then you can't call January 6th a day of love. Right. So now that there's nobody in jail for anything that happened, he was like, wait, that just goes to his narrative. And he just wants us to shut up and stand down and come after us. But, but
and now
I'm unshaken about it.
Good. That doesn't surprise me. But now he's got Tweedledee and Tweedle. I might have sharded Kash Patel and Dan Bingo Bongo talking about how, they have proof coming that is going to prove that the FBI was actually involved with inciting January 6th. Proof. So this is the problem. This is what keeps me up at night with many other things, because I'm not as chill as you, my friend. I am not. I am a fucking freak. And I have long worried that they were going to start. They've already done it where they've revised history and whitewashed and sane-washed and all the things. But now they're actually going to start physically rewriting it, because they have schools in Oklahoma that are going to have their students learning about the stolen 2020 election. So that's like one arm of all this craziness, and that dead-eye superintendent they have. But Kash Patel and Bongo finding evidence of things that are patently false. That's the kind of shit that scares me. That's the kind of shit where it's Orwellian. Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. This is them. This is what they're doing right now. They're trying to control the present and, by virtue of that, the past.
Yeah, that's why it's important for us to continue to stay front and center. And and like you said, you mentioned Orwell, but that's what the strategy is to get the people who are pushing back to get them to shut up by whatever means, and whether that be somebody you scaring them, talking about these investigations and we're revoking pardons and blah blah blah, whatever it is. I mean, it's enough. Listen, it's enough to make people want to say, the hell with this. You're right. I did my part. I'm gonna just shut up now, and it's enough. But it's important that the truth tellers remain truth tellers, And the public, I mean, shit, the public are the truth tellers. They saw it. Everybody saw it with their own eyes. Everybody saw what happened.
Yeah.
So we cannot forget. And and this just goes to further my point. It's not me. It's not us that can't get over January 6th. It's them.
Right.
Like, I'm talking about January 6th in response to everything they continue to say. So I'm responding. I'm not bringing up stuff. I'm responding.
Yeah.
And so they can't get over it.
Yeah, you've actually moved on so much that you're in places like the villages.
Yeah.
Talking to people about what we do next and talking to them about how we mobilize and how we fight back against this.
That's it.
That's what you're doing, and they keep dragging you back by doing all these outrageous, revisionist, and insanely gaslighting things. But I want to just real fast touch on this, the thing you said about making people afraid, because it's worked in many ways. He's gotten law firms to comply. He's gotten Columbia University to comply. He's gotten a lot of people like NPR and others to bend the knee and to acquiesce and to obey in advance. And I don't know if you saw it, that at 1:43 this morning, that fucking orange asshole was up tweeting about arresting Bono and who else? Bruce Springsteen.
After Springsteen now, yeah.
Springsteen really rung his bell. That little bitch he's never been invited to the cool kids table, right? This is part of the grievance that is the undercurrent of that, what he is. He was never cool enough to be at their table, so he's always had a personal grievance against anybody who's a celebrity, because what is he going to get? Kid Rock? Like, this is the top of the marquee that this guy's getting. But like, what he's hoping will happen, which won't, is that he can get celebrities and famous musicians to do this, to bend the knee, to be afraid of him. They don't give a shit.
At all. At all. It's ridiculous. He wants to be revered. He wants to be worshipped. He wants to be celebrated.
Yep.
And I mean, you don't have to look any further than the whole military parade that he's proposing. It's crazy. He just wants to be celebrated, and you can't bully your way into making people like you. That's not how that works, dude.
No. Amen. And that small in the pants parade to the tune of $45 million that's going to wreck DC's infrastructure. And it's
insane.
It is literally the definition of insanity. And for a guy who's used our military and continues to use our military as props, for somebody who has disparaged them routinely, like, it really pisses me off how more people aren't outraged about this while he's cutting kids' cancer research and then throwing a small in the pants parade for his own goddamn birthday.
Yeah.
That makes me crazy. But we're going to pivot on parades here, because we're going to get a New York Knicks parade, a ticker tape parade.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not early enough. It's not too early to say that. See, they've only won 2 rounds, but it's fine. So I'm going to do a segment every week on my show called Now for Something Completely Different. And I don't know if you know this about me. You might know this about me. I know this about you. You are an athlete at heart, but a college football player and college basketball player. Is that right?
Yeah, no. So I had the opportunity when I was in high school to I had scholarships for football and basketball, but I chose football. So I had offers to play college basketball too. But like I said, I chose football. So.
Well, I love football and I love basketball, but I was an OG Knicks fan going back Patrick Ewing days. Okay. So I've been off the bandwagon for quite a while, and they are so exciting to watch right now. And the fans are like, we're winning something. And it's pissed off Dave Portnoy, which makes me incredibly happy. He's a little bitch, and he's blaming the fact that Tatum got hurt in the end of a game that the Knicks had won, or were winning, by the way. And the Knicks won 2 games with Tatum in them, and then the third one, Tatum went out at the end. So I just want, like, are you watching these series? How are you?
Yeah. No, I've been following them. I've been
Bronson. I
love. Yeah. No, I've been following it, and like, this story, it's a great story for Knicks fans. I mean, you just think of the people that just sit courtside, obviously all the way back from Spike Lee and Tracy Morgan, Ben Stiller. Shout out to Ben Stiller. Good, he become a good friend. And yeah, Ben's kind of we chat back and forth, and haven't met him in person, but we do share some cool DMs and cool messages at times. But he's always fired up about the Knicks, but just their fan base that's just been so energized. It's great to see. Especially, did you see? So was it 7th Avenue, 8th Avenue? After the game, like, people are in the streets. Like, it is crazy. It's exciting, and it's a boost that the NBA needs right now because the NBA had been sucking.
Yeah.
But you're bringing back all the old rivals. It's Knicks Pacers. It's Reggie Miller versus John Starks and and Patrick Ewing. This is bringing it back to when the Knicks were in their glory days. But they always ran into a guy named Michael Jeffrey Jordan, and they get past.
Yeah.
There's so many people couldn't, but
Yeah. Yeah. And a little guy named Larry Bird. And truth be told, and I'm going to own this because I'm just going to own it. I'm going to put it out there. I'm just going to say it. I was a Celtics fan. I was a Celtics fan. Kevin McHale, was it Danny Ainge, Larry Bird, Parrish. I love that team a lot, which is something that I'm probably going to get trolled for. But I fucking loved the matchup with the Lakers back then. I loved those games. I had Larry Bird's book, all the things. But then I learned and I became a Knicks fan. But and now I'm back.
I'm back.
Outer space. But you're right. And even Portnoy said when the Knicks do well and the NBA does well, it lifts all boats.
It's a good story. It's a good storyline, and like I said, it's good. It's good for the city. It's good for fans. It's good for the NBA. Like I said, they need a shot in the arm right now because they've been almost horrible to watch. But good for them. And Jalen Brunson, it's such a hard player. And then you guys, like I said, the Villanova connection there. It's a dope story. It's good to see. And I root for my home team, the Washington Wizards. They suck, but I'm not to the point where I can't acknowledge another team's success and say wish them well.
Yeah.
So.
I love that this has also united New York because I was at the Yankees Mets game on Friday with the kids because Soto was coming to the
They
Bronx.
booed the hell out of him,
38
man.
times. I have to send you a picture of Abby because Abby and Leo were very into it because we picked our behind Soto for a reason. I got those tickets the day he announced, the day he freaking signed. I was like, we're going to say hi. And we're next to the bleachers when you're back there. Have you ever been to Yankee Stadium?
No, I have not. And actually, I need to because I've been extended an invite by a couple of my New York friends. Oh, there goes another one. So yeah, we'll have to do it. We'll have to go.
You have to sit. So the whole stadium has a very different, every section is a different vibe, but the bleachers are their own animal, right? And if you sit anywhere in the periphery of the bleachers, particularly the Judge side of the bleachers, you get the same energy. And it is like pandemonium, crazy, loud, beer throwing, insanity, but the best kind. And that was the loudest I've ever seen it, to the point where it was like the place was literally shaking. It was incredible. I'm going to take you. You got to go. We have to sit there.
I can only imagine when it was in person. Like on TV, I was like, damn, this is crazy. Like watching Soto, and then he came out, and then everybody turned their back on him. So they were, that was dope. Like it was,
I don't even think, because at one point, because we were really close, at one point he just looked back and he was like, damn.
He felt it. He felt it.
Not bad. This is bad. This is much worse than I expected. But with that, ending on a happy note, you know what I mean? Like everything is, for me anyway, this happy note, not for Dodgers fans. Yeah. But everything is upside down, inside out, and on fire. And I often think to myself, like in a world where I wish that things like January 6th never happened, which is a world I wish for every day, I would not have met you. I wouldn't know you. And I'm so glad that I do and that I have, even though I wish that it were under any other circumstance.
Other circumstances. Same, but that's a lot of times the people that you meet in your life are due to circumstances, and sometimes those become some of the best bonds and relationships you can make out there. So glad that our paths have crossed, and happy to be on your show with you.
First guest ever. What are you working on? Where can all the people find you? Where can they check on? Check out? Where are you going to be for more stuff? Tell folks.
Well, yeah. So I'm kind of taking a break. I do have a trip. I'm going to announce it when I get back. So everybody stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot to share with what I've done. But just on my Substack, standing our ground. Obviously on Blue Sky at Libra Dunn 1. I don't use Twitter anymore. Like I still have my account, but I don't even check it. Like it's such a cesspool over there. So shout out to you for hanging in there, because
The Jersey in me.
Yeah, no way in hell. Like, I don't entertain any. That could be tagged, mentioned a million times. You won't get even a like out of anything. I don't support that cesspool at all. But no, just continue to do the work. I like I said, I just got back from Florida. The week before that, I was in North Dakota. I have some events coming up, actually in Maryland. Speaking at some of the fundraisers here. Keynote addresses. I got a trip to Georgia coming up in June, and just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So, stay tuned, I guess.
You making a difference, my friend, and you're larger than life, both in reality and in spirit, and energy and passion. And
well, thank you.
And I'm so grateful that we are friends, and so grateful that you're my first ever guest on my Sane-ish podcast. So,
well, thanks for having me, my friend, and I wish you many, many, many successful episodes.
Thank you so much, Harry. All right, I will talk to you soon. I'm going to take you to a Yankees game. It's just going to have to happen.
Let's do it.
Yeah, all right. I'll talk to you later.
All right, dear.
Bye.
Bye.
That's it for our very first episode of Sane-ish. Stay tuned for part 2 with Michael Cohen on Thursday. A huge thanks to Harry Dunn for joining me today, for his honesty, his courage, and for reminding us all what it means to keep standing up, no matter how tough things get. If you enjoyed this conversation, please take a second to rate and follow Sane-ish wherever you get your podcasts. Your support helps us reach more folks who are searching for a little more sanity in this wild world. And don't forget to connect with me on social media. I'm at Jojo from Jerz on Twitter, on YouTube, on Substack, on Blue Sky, on Threads, on everywhere in between. I love hearing from you, so drop me a message, share your thoughts, or just say hi. Thank you for listening, for caring, and for being a part of this community. We're in this together. One episode, one conversation, one hopeful step at a time. Until next time, stay sane-ish, friends.